Hey guys, welcome to Super Marvel Brothers. I'm Connor.
I'm Brendon, and we're in our new digs right now. We're not in the lab.
Yeah, we're
mobile.
We're in my lab. Welcome to Super Marvel Brothers, the Marvel Cinematic Universe recap podcast.
To get you ready for the greatest event in the history of humankind and possibly the universe.
Well,
Infinity War.
Yeah, Marvel or Avengers Infinity War.
Speaking of Infinity War.
Yep.
What came out this week?
The Infinity War official trailer.
Let's talk about that.
Iron Man's suit looks weird.
It was great.
Star-Lord and Iron Man are on screen together.
Can I say this? I never knew I needed that as much in my life until I saw it.
Pretty good. If you haven't seen it, please go watch it.
Can we link it in the description?
I can try to remember.
All right. Well, we might do that. Who knows?
If not, it's not hard to find.
But anyway, let's seriously talk about this trailer. We got a lot of the heroes together. You get Iron Man, Spider-Man, the Guardians are in it together.
We kind of get the Thanos' motivation.
Yeah, you get Thanos' motivation. They have that iconic snap.
Oh, yeah.
Which is great. They highlight it, which makes me think that he's actually going to snap and kill half the universe, which is great.
I mean, reality gem. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
I was really nervous this whole time. I've said it on the podcast that Thanos is going to be underdeveloped when they actually get the movie out.
Right.
But I actually think after seeing this now, it's going to be... I think it's actually going to be a Thanos movie. Like, we're going to follow Thanos, and the characters are going to be kind of in his way. Almost like a Thanos point of view.
That could be cool, but I still want to see a lot of the...
I mean, I think it will, but I think instead of following, like, Tony Stark around the whole movie, we're going to follow Thanos. And I think that's going to be really cool. I think he's going to be very well motivated. The final shot of Cap stopping Thanos from smushing him...
Yeah, that's pretty
is
good.
amazing. I'm excited. Are we buying tickets today?
No, probably. All right. So with that out of the way, go watch it. It's super awesome. This week, we watched Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Volume 2.
Volume 2.
If you're going to use the right title. 2017, directed by James Gunn. I saw this in theaters.
I saw it in theaters.
Did you see it with me?
Probably.
I saw it with the parentals. I don't remember if you were there.
I think I did.
Okay. I saw it twice in theaters in the same weekend because I thought it was amazing.
Oh, it's so good. I think I saw it multiple times.
Yeah, it's a very well done movie. Let's just get into it.
Sure.
We open up with, again, our vignette in Missouri. Which, let me tell you, Missouri's getting a lot of love in movies lately. You've got the Three Billboards movie.
I believe it was filmed in Georgia, but, Missouri.
It says Missouri on the screen.
Give
Missouri this. It doesn't have much else in it going on for it.
That's true.
We get a de-age Kurt Russell.
Which, I had to ask, did they de-age him or is that makeup? It looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's always kind of, you're always a little nervous because, I've seen, if you think of, Rogue One.
Yeah.
Where they did kind of that. It looks good at points and other times it doesn't.
Yeah.
But this one looks really good. And we actually found this nice fact out that the woman, Peter's wife, is actually the same woman from Guardians 1.
Peter's wife, you mean Peter's mom?
Peter's mom, yeah, that too. But it's actually the same person, which I thought that was kind of interesting. They kept the continuality because they didn't have to, because it would have been very easy just to replace it and have anyone. But
absolutely.
It was a little nice that they did that.
All right. So
cut to a Dairy Queen. Nice product placement there.
Yeah.
And we see this plant that he has put down. And he has
Mr. Russell.
Mr. Russell, and he has very cryptic messages how it's going to go all over the galaxy.
Yeah, and it's a nice little you kind of. It's definitely set up to be they really loved each other sort of deal. And then we go
34 years later.
Yeah. Oh man, is Star-Lord that old?
Yeah, I know, right? I
thought he was 20s.
He's in midlife crisis.
Well, not quite.
But yeah, we cut 34 years. So this movie, technically, even though it was shot in 2017, we're assuming it takes place in 2014, which is when the first Guardians came out. Which, again, is why we're watching it now as opposed to later.
Right.
Even though it's a Phase 3 movie, we're watching it during the Phase 2. Because this takes place 6-7 months after...
the continuity is, super close together.
Yeah, this is very close to the first Guardians. They're on this planet. They got to protect some batteries from this interdimensional thing.
Yeah, this is one of the best intros to a superhero film, just because it's they're discussing the plan. It's all right, we got to protect these batteries. Blah, blah. They get a great moment with Drax where it's like, Drax, why aren't you wearing one of these rigs Rocket made? He's like, it hurts. I have sensitive nipples.
Drax steals the show in this movie so much.
They wrote it as like the Drax comedy hour.
Yeah, this was the Drax movie.
And so like then the Beast shows up, and it doesn't focus on this epic fight scene of the Guardians versus this extra dimensional Beast. It focuses on Baby Groot dancing to Mr. Blue Sky.
Baby Groot printed money.
Baby Groot, they were like, how can we get more money out of this tree? And they said, we turn it into a baby.
And it worked.
It's got me hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, I mean, I have a Baby Groot bobblehead on my desk.
I do too. So, and that's a really cool intro because you do get, like, he kind of interacts with some of the characters, like, Gamora. She's like, get out of the way.
Hi.
Yeah, hi. And,
Rocket stops him from eating a bug.
yeah, Rocket stops him from eating a bug. He lands next, or Drax lands next to him, and he does the whole, like...
He does the freeze thing for the end of the movie, the first one. It's a pretty well shot scene. Drax jumps into the monster because the skin's thinner on the inside, maybe.
That's his thoughts.
That's his thought. But they do eventually beat the monster. And you brought this up again. The colors they use in this movie are very well done. It's a very visually appealing movie.
Vivid.
Good word.
Vivid. It's the colors are great. So.
So they do beat the monster. Key point here: Rocket steals some of the batteries because they go for 250,000 units or something like that.
Yeah.
And then we meet the Sovereign, which this is something I don't like. They kind of become exposition.
Yeah, they go on like, oh, we are the perfect race and blah, 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 blah. This is how we do it. It's like, that's not needed. Just give them the money and go.
Yeah, especially because they don't play a huge part, like, in this movie. I know they're maybe are trying to build them for 3, but it's like...
They're just kind of there.
Yeah, they're just kind of there.
So, they did the favor to get Nebula, who was captured by them.
Trying to steal the batteries.
And so... The Guardians get Nebula, and the plan is, I guess, to turn her in. And as they're leaving, they get swarmed by these Sovereign ships.
Which are remote controlled. They're not...
Like arcade style.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Wakanda ships, but...
Yeah.
Cooler. Because then they find out Rocket has stolen these batteries. And they're shooting to kill. And we go into this escape scene, kind of like... it's Star Wars-y, you know?
It's pretty Star Wars-y. There's this great moment where they're like, we got to make it to the jump point. We got to go through not any asteroid field, not just an asteroid field, but a quantum asteroid field.
If you want something to sound more dangerous, you add quantum to it.
It's true. So they got to go through that, and the whole joke is that they're like, oh, you need to be the best pilot in the universe to do that. And Peter, Quill, and Rocket are just competing over that.
Yeah, and they keep switching controls back and forth, and actually leads them crashing because they can't actually do it together. We also get that scene where the guns are down and Drax just jumps out of the back of the ship to shoot, which is just really fun and a very Drax thing to do. They come out of the asteroid field and there's 50 ships there.
Yeah.
And I really like the fact that he says they went around the asteroid field when the whole point they went through is that it would be quicker.
Yeah.
When obviously if they just went around, it would have been fine.
It would have been safer and just as fast.
So they're being shot at. It looks like they're going to blow up. But it's a very Hitchhiker's Guide.
It is. All the ships just kind of blow up.
As this giant ball with, we don't know yet, but Kurt Russell on top. As
Rocket says, a tiny man.
A tiny man, about an inch tall.
I mean, if he got closer, he'd probably be bigger.
That's how vision works!
Yeah, there's this great arguing scene on the planet they crash on, where it's just like, Rocket gets called a raccoon, and he's like, I'm not a raccoon, and then he's like, you're right, I'm sorry, trash panda.
Yeah, so they crash on this planet. The ship is trashed. One thing I do want to point out, they do a lot of jumps in this movie.
Yeah.
They talk about jumping. That isn't explained, really. And I kind of want to understand this. Like, is this like galactic highway systems where you can go from jump to jump? Or is it like light speed?
I feel like it's just like quick jumps to different systems or planets.
Yeah. But that's... I didn't understand they made a jump, but... it's okay that Drax is still hanging out of the back of the ship while they do this jump. I feel like that's probably not good.
No, probably not.
But they do crash on this planet. The ship's destroyed. There's a lot of fighting. Like I said, the Trash Pandas line is hysterical.
Really funny.
And then we meet Ego and Mantis.
Yeah, so Kurt Russell shows up looking older with a young antennaed lady. And he kind of says, like, oh, I'm your father. And Peter's just like, I don't know if I should believe this. Like,
yeah, I mean, they come together, and it's really hard. I mean, Peter hasn't known his father. They just know he's not human. They actually point that out early in the movie to reinforce the end of Guardians 1. Mm-hmm. He's not human. We don't know what he is.
Right.
And he kind of gives this backstory about his mom, and why. Well, he doesn't go over why he had to leave, but they kind of go over that. And eventually, they do agree that half of them are going to go with Ego to his planet,
right,
while Rocket and Groot and guard Nebula and fix the ship on Bearheart, I believe, is the planet they're on.
So they go off and join Ego. And you kind of get coverage over Mantis and what she can do. She's an empath.
Before we go there, I don't want to go too far because we do actually meet Yondu at this point in the movie too.
You're right.
I want to point out that there is a whorehouse in a Disney movie.
A robot whorehouse.
A robot whorehouse in a Disney movie.
Howard the Duck was there.
Howard the Duck was there because once you go duck,
you're out of luck until you go duck.
Yeah, that's it. I don't know why they're trying to make him a thing.
Seth Green needs money.
Does he though? I mean, he's got Robot Chicken. He's rolling in the money.
Is that still going?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, you can still watch it on Hulu. But yeah, we meet Yondu. He's on this planet, and we actually find out that some of the other there's 100 Ravager factions. Mm-hmm. And Sylvester Stallone, I forgot he was in this movie.
He only did this role because he wanted to get out of the house for a few days because his family was driving him nuts.
Is that true?
It was I was getting bugged by my family, so I looked into it, got offered, and took it.
That's crazy.
Imagine being to that point where it's like, yeah, I guess I'll be in this big hit film, just to get out of the house for a couple days.
That's insane.
Yeah.
But anyway.
That's what I heard. I'm not going to say that's facts.
No, it's facts now. It's on the podcast.
You heard it on the internet. It must be true.
100% true. But we do. He's the leader of one of the factions, and we kind of get the backstory of why Yondu is kind of this rogue, not accepted.
We don't get why, but we get that he is this. He is the faction that is not he's a Ravager, but he's not a Ravager.
Yeah, he's kind of disowned. Well, they do mention the Ravagers don't deal in kids. They do say that.
Oh, do they? Okay.
So we do get that there's something, and then obviously it ties back to Peter, which has been the whole joke in the first movie that he was should have turned him in, or he should have hated him, or something like that. So we get that, and then that is when the Sovereign come to Yondu.
Which is kind of the first instance of some really forced comedy.
Yeah, when we watched Guardians 1, we talked a lot about how the build-up of the characters and the comedy is very organic. That's not the case in this movie very much. The Sovereign Lady, High Priestess Aisha, I think? Yeah.
Is walking on this carpet that's being rolled out by servants, as she walks. And that's okay, that's kind of ridiculous. That's humorous in itself.
But with the way that they act, it's believable.
Yeah, and then, the carpet roll jams and they can't push it.
And there's, 4 or 5 seconds of awkwardly them trying to fix it.
Yeah, and it's that's not really funny.
Yeah, there's a couple... It's kind of weird when I watch this movie. I probably have bigger laughs in this movie, but I don't think it's... I think the first one's funnier, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there are moments like that with a forced comedy. Kind of, I mean... It's not Iron Man 3 forced comedy yet.
No.
But there's definitely instances of that happening in the movie.
The High Priestess pretty much says, hey, we have a proposition for you to go hunt down Quill, or the Guardians, and bring them to us. And so they are like, yeah, sure, we'll do that. And then I think we kind of get to see Mantis.
Yeah, we kind of come back to the planet at night. They're talking about, and then they eventually convince him to go.
Yeah, and
so on the ship now.
So they're on Ego's ship, which is like an egg, essentially. And
a lot of egg symbolism in this movie.
Peter and Drax are talking to Mantis, and they're like, "Hey,
well, they have a bet."
Yeah, they have a bet going on. They're like, "Hey, what are your antennas for?" And Drax says, I think they're so if you're going through a doorway that's too small, they will sense the doorway and you won't get decapitated.
And if it's anything else...
You're right. Peter wins. We learned that they're used for her empathic abilities, which if you don't know what an empath is, it's essentially someone who can sense, and I guess to a degree she can manipulate other people's emotions.
Yeah, she can feel, understand people's emotions.
Which it leads to a really funny joke where she does it to Peter. She's like, you feel love. And he's like, yeah, a general selfish love for everything. He's like, no, romantic love, sexual love for her, and she points to Gamora, and Drax just like bursts out laughing.
David Bautista knows his limits, but he can play those limits so well.
Give me a Drax movie with just David Bautista and like maybe Groot and Rocket, and I'd be happy.
It'd be like a buddy cop movie.
Absolutely.
But we find out about her powers. She can feel that. And the whole reason she's actually there is she helps put Ego to sleep. Yeah. Because Ego, I guess, with his... It's not really explained why he can't sleep.
It's like it is. She's like, oh, he's always worried about his progeny.
Yeah, I guess his ideas, his plans.
It's like,
it overwhelms him to the point he can't sleep, which is okay. We find out also Mantis is an orphan. She was Ego took her from her home planet as a child and raised her. Yeah. So she's as socially awkward as Drax.
Which is great.
Which is great when they're on screen together. There's a lot of good chemistry between those two characters throughout the movie.
So they're on that ship for a bit, and then I believe, is that when we cut back to the planet again?
Yeah, we cut back to Bearheart, and the Ravengers are there.
Yeah, they're trying to sneak up on Rocket, and you just hear Rocket's like humming along to a song, and then the Ravengers start getting hit with traps. And we see that Rocket totally set them up. He has like a video, audio like transponder thing in the ship, and he's humming into it from the trees, making them think that he's in the ship. So he just has this like, it's this great like trap scene where he's just totally playing a whole patrol of Ravengers.
Yeah, he's using all his different tech there. He's got like impulse grenade or like
impulse mines and like dart traps, and he like electrocutes the whole group.
Those dart things. So they killed those.
Oh
guys,
no,
right?
Yeah, they're dead.
Okay, just making sure because
Rocket's not afraid to do that.
They get hit with like 25 tranquilizers. It's like enough to put down a bull elephant.
Rocket, I feel like Rocket's the character. Well, Rocket, all of them probably don't care enough to be like, yeah, he's dead. Yeah, space is kind of the Wild West.
I mean, it is funny actually. Earlier in that movie, Gamora said, talking about Ego, says, "If he's evil, we'll just kill him."
Yeah,
like, there was no morals really there.
Yeah,
which is funny because the whole first movie is about honor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like, oh yeah, we'll just do that. We get this cool scene, Rocket using all his tech. They eventually does get the arrow though in the face, not through the face.
Yeah,
but at the face.
Yondu stops here right in front of his face and it's like, well, I lost.
So, and then there comes this proposition. They're offered, I believe, 1 million credits if they turn the Guardians to the Sovereign.
But he wants to sell the batteries for a quarter.
Rocket said he's going to sell it for a quarter, which gets everyone in the Ravagers upset. But I want to point out, like, Yondu had a good point there. Do you really want to be the group? You're already kind of the outlaws of the outlaws, and you want to be the group that's going to turn in the Guardians of the Galaxy to be killed?
Yeah.
I mean, that was Yondu's point, and it makes sense.
Yeah, no.
I still get a 250,000 units, and I don't have to be the jerk that got the Guardians killed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Yondu and the crew takes it, and it is true. The crew takes it as like Yondu going soft on Quill again.
Yeah, and even the people loyal to Yondu are now saying like, it's like we don't matter. It's all about Peter.
And but Yondu is right. It's like, I don't want to be the guy who turned in the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I mean, it literally there was a lose-lose situation there. But eventually the crew mutinies, and Nebula was on the ship, but Groot let her out because she convinced Groot that if he did not let her out, Rocket was going to die. Mm-hmm. Nebula kind of finally finishes the mutiny, and they're now in control. The Ravagers. They shoot out his mohawk, not his mohawk, his thing.
His fin. I think
he gets the mohawk later.
Yeah.
But they shoot that out. He's unconscious. And now the Ravagers have mutinied against Yondu.
Right.
So now we're on the planet Ego.
Yeah, so they get to the planet Ego, and Ego kind of explains, I'm a Celestial.
Let's just talk again. Colors in this movie.
Oh yeah, Ego's a super.
It's visually appealing.
They could have done like a forest or something, you know.
They could have done generic Star Wars planet number 7.
Yeah, but they did like.
There's a lot of detail, a lot of.
Yeah, there's like it's a bit of a desert, but it's like a red desert.
It's like an oasis in the desert. Kind of thing. And there's a lot of water. Yeah. There's bubbles. Because why not?
Yeah, it's cool. They kind of Ego explains he's a Celestial and like this planet is him.
Yeah, he just came into being. He's not really sure how. He's a floating brain, first off. We need to point that out.
Yeah.
Which, the fact that we have a big budget, blockbuster, critically acclaimed movie that is about a giant brain making a planet, that's a thing.
Yep. So they kind of go into Ego's, like, brain palace, because that's the thing. And Ego kind of explains, like, you know, I just popped into existence, and over time I learned how to control matter.
Millions of years.
Over millions of years, he learned how to control things, and he made a planet layer by layer. And then he wanted to go out and find life, so he created a body for him.
Which he said he made a body of what he thought life was like, which surprisingly is human.
Yeah, you know.
He has no idea what life is, but he thinks it's people.
Yeah. So and then he says, you know, I found life, and then it was like, oh, I wanted to find more and stuff like that. And eventually, he did meet Peter's mom. Had Peter, but he couldn't stay.
Yeah, we find out. I don't know if it's here or later, but we find out that if he stays away from the planet, his source.
Yeah.
That he makes the body as a representation of himself, but if he stays away from it, he loses his powers. So that's why he has to keep coming back to the planet he's made, to like his brain, essentially.
So we kind of get that, and again, Drax is funny asking if he has a penis.
Again, just the way Drax delivers all his lines. He's very literal.
What's the best part is it makes sense because we already established in the first movie that he doesn't get a lot of like he doesn't grasp a lot of like intangible things like how to socialize, like
symbolism.
He doesn't get symbolism. He doesn't get metaphors. He doesn't get like the intricacies of socialization. So, you know, to ask, do you have a penis, is just like, yeah, Drax is like, I want to know.
And then he talks about how his dad used to tell him about his conception all the time.
Gosh.
But...
well, no, my favorite part of that is when Peter's discussed, he's like, you Earthers have hang-ups.
Well, and there's a great example of the humor being organic and not being forced, because we've developed that character.
It was part of his culture.
Yeah, it's part of the character development where you get other parts of this movie where it's not that way. I think, is that when we eventually do get the alone scene with Mantis and Drax? Is that around this time?
Yeah.
I think it's while Peter's learning his powers.
Yeah, Peter goes off with Ego, and then Drax and Mantis are outside the palace, and they're kind of talking, and Drax goes on this whole thing about
so this is actually a surprisingly powerful scene when you think about it.
It is, because you got to remember Drax's whole backstory in the first movie was that Ronan killed his family, and that was his goal, is for revenge. And you kind of forget that Drax, when he's not a ball of rage and muscle, is he's like, you know, he lost a lot.
Yeah, and he never shows it, but then Mantis uses her powers and she starts bawling.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a cool scene because you see her crying and then you just see kind of Drax staring off into the distance.
Yeah, like Drax is so numb to it at this point. It's incredible.
He better not die in Infinity War.
You said he would.
What?
I
said he's one of the three. We're going to have to do an episode where we go over predictions of who's going to live and die in this movie.
That might be a nice micro episode.
If he dies, though, I'm going to be so angry.
So... and then Gamora comes out right before Mantis tells Drax something, and they kind of go off and try to see where they're staying, I guess. And then I think then we go to Peter and Ego.
Yeah, and they're going over, and again, he's talking about how much of all the planets he visited, he loved Peter's mom the most. And that was actually true love, and he knew the reason he never came back is he couldn't. He
said he would die.
He would die, but he also says. After she died, like, why did he never come back for him? Why did he send Yondu? And it's a pretty weak excuse because of the excuse, I can't live on a planet where she's dead. And Peter's like, well, I had to.
No, I really like this scene. It's one of my favorite scenes in this movie because it is this, like, confrontation of, like, well, where were you? And he's like, I couldn't be there. Like, you don't understand. I couldn't be there without her. And he's like, Peter just gets really frustrated. He's like, of course I understand. What do you mean?
That's exactly what I had to do.
He's like, I watched her die.
So
and it's this scene of like I don't know, I feel like it would have like Ego's just like, oh yeah, oops.
As much as I love Chris Pratt, I don't think he did. I mean, he has some good scenes. I don't think he did as good a job in this movie as he did the first one. I don't know if it's just the kind of
the tone of the movie.
It might be the tone of the movie. It might be like the novelty is worn off because we're in Volume 2. But I feel like he just does a lot of yelling in this movie.
I mean, I feel like it's an emotional movie for his character, so I was fine with it personally.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I think compared to the first one, I think he does a better job. I mean, it's still better than Jurassic World, so. But we do get that scene. He talked earlier in the movie how he had to watch all his friends play catch.
Yeah, with their dads.
And now he got to do that when he learns about the energy.
Yeah,
he can a ball.
Yeah, he can like form the light from the planet, and he makes a ball, and they play catch. It's a really nice scene.
I guess one thing that did come up. Why does Ego age?
The only thing I can think of is because he wants to.
Is it to just seem more realistic to Peter?
Probably.
Because he's millions of years old. He can make anything he wants.
Right. No, yeah, I think it is just to be like. To be more relatable.
Or is it just, we got Kurt Russell, we've got to use him?
That too.
I mean, Kurt Russell does a great job.
Kurt Russell does do a great job.
One of the better MCU villains. Because I think the best
weird that, and I know he's already been in it, is it weird that I kind of could see it as Jeff Bridges too? But maybe that's just because the hairdo and the facial hair make me think of Jeff Bridges from Tron.
Yeah, he does look like the Jeff Bridges from Tron.
Yeah.
You're right. But I think the best part of why he's a good villain is you don't really see him as a villain for most of the movie. He seems like this good guy.
No, yeah, he's just like, I just want to be with my.
And even when he turns into the villain, it's not like he's bad. He just
it's not like I've been evil the whole time. It's
like no, this is what I am.
Yeah, he's like, this is just what my goal is.
So that's interesting. We cut back to the ship. The Ravager ship.
Yeah.
Which, this got really dark really quick.
Yeah, they're launching, like, tons of people out of the airlock.
Anyone who's against the mutiny is getting launched into space.
And we get the scene of,
This is a Disney movie.
Yeah. Yeah, they've already had robot hookers.
Yeah, I know, right?
We get, the new, quote-unquote, captain who just looks really mad. He looks like the villain... I know what he looks like. He looks like the villain from... Power Rangers Time Force.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. You're right.
He does. This guy, who we don't know his name yet because it's such a good scene, looks like the villain from Power Rangers Time Force.
Connor is Googling this right now.
I am, because I want to confirm.
No.
Yeah, look at that.
There you go. There he is.
He looks... No, I don't want videos. I want images. He looks...
This is great for an audio podcast.
Yeah, I might put that picture up. He looks like...
He does, actually.
Look at that. Oh, man. Okay.
But we find out that his name is Taserface.
Yeah, he goes on saying, like, I will know the name Taserface. And Rocket just loses it. He's just like, Taserface? Really? Do you shoot tasers out of your face? He's like, well, no. He's like, well, how does that make sense? It's a really funny scene.
It's a metaphor.
Yeah, and everyone's like, yeah. He's like... Okay, but like, why? He's like, it strikes fear into my enemies, and everyone's like, yeah, okay.
And then eventually, Rocket turns the crowd against him.
Yeah, he's just like, what? He does an impression. He's like, oh, I'm Taserface. Oh, the other name I had was Scrotum Head, and then like everyone starts laughing. Yeah, it's really funny.
So they throw him and Yondu in prison. They said they're going to turn them into the Kree. So we get a Kree mention here.
Well, Yondu is Kree.
Yondu is Kree, and they're wanted. Both of them are wanted there, so they're going to turn them in for a huge bounty.
Yeah.
Nebula says that she wants 10% of the take and a ship, and her plan is to go kill Gamora with this ship, and then eventually Thanos.
Yeah, which
instead of getting a nice hat.
Which the director's brother has a great moment. Sean Gunn, I think.
Yeah.
It's just like, what are you gonna do with your share? And she's like, I will.
We get this huge, but we get the whole backstory of Nebula.
Oh yeah, yeah. She's like, my sister is the reason I'm like all robotics and blah blah blah, and I will take this ship and kill her, and then I will buy the biggest battleship with every instrument of death and tear Thanos apart piece by piece. And he's just like, well, I was thinking more like a nice necklace or a nice hat to make all the other ladies go like, ooh, that's nice. Which is it's a really great, like, I feel like Nebula is just like, I should kill him. I should just kill him.
Oh yeah, I don't know how he lived.
Yeah, and then he just walked away, and it's like, okay.
But we kind of, I guess, are we still on the ship, or do we get the prison scene where Yondu and Rocket kind of talk?
Yeah, we do, because that happens right as they get thrown in. They kind of have this discussion about how like Yondu. We get Yondu's backstory, which is he was a battle slave to the Kree for like 20 years.
Yeah, his parents sold him into slavery.
Yeah, and then the Ravagers saved him and gave him a chance to be a Ravager, and then eventually became a captain.
But then he broke the code, which is why he's like this outlaw in the Ravagers.
Yeah.
And it's basically that Rocket and Yondu are the same person.
Yeah, they're very similar.
But you know who got saved because he's too adorable to smash?
Groot.
Baby Groot. Baby Groot's got a little Ravager outfit.
Yeah, they take him to the tailor, and then they kind of like beat him up.
Oh yeah, they
like kick him around and they pour like beer on him and stuff. And,
yeah, he's crying.
And then he passes Yondu and Rocket Cell. He's like, "Hey, want to help us get out?" He's like, "Yeah." Like he's a really sad head nod. Yeah. Which just causes a really funny scene of them trying to say, all right, you got to go get this fin so I can use my arrow. Here it is. And he brings back, like, what does he bring back the first time?
I forget exactly what he brings back. I know he brings a toe at one point.
Yeah, he brings a severed toe, and Rocket's just like, please tell me you guys have a cooler just full of toes. And he's like, no. He's like, all right, we never talk about this again.
It's funny because you got to remember this. Groot is essentially the mind of a 4 or 5 year old.
So like
I do love when they give him the symbol. It's like it's on this shelf, and Groot looks at it and then tries to give it right back.
Yeah. He's like, no. And then there's this great discussion of Groot saying like, I mean, it's just all I am Groot, but Rocket's translating. And he's like, oh, he thought you wanted him to wear his hat. He's like, no, why would I want him to do that? He's like, good. He hates hats. It makes not just on him, but on everyone. Because then you think someone has a weird shaped head, and they take it off, and you just realize it's part of a hat. And Rocket's just like, wait, that's why you hate hats?
Yeah, it's a fun scene, but eventually, actually, Sean Gunn, I don't know his actual character
they
name.
mention it, but I couldn't.
He eventually gets the fin for him, and he talks about how he didn't want this to happen. All his friends are now floating in space, and he wants to do the right thing. To which then Yondu tells him prepare the escape pod to get ready.
Yeah, it's and that just leads into a really awesome scene.
So we get the scene. Rocket hooks up the fin.
Kraglin and Sean Gunn was also the on-set Rocket.
Oh, so he's like
he was the guy in the green
Rocket?
screen.
That's cool. So that scene where Drax is petting the guy in the green screen, he's petting Sean Gunn in the first movie?
He's petting Sean Gunn.
That's hysterical.
That's really good.
But Rocket hooks the fin up, and you said as comic books, this is like a more traditional look for Yondu.
I believe in the comic books, Yondu has this like big mohawk, and he uses like a bow and arrow. At least he did. I don't know.
We don't read the comics. Yeah. But he has this giant mohawk now, and we get a great... This is maybe the best use of music in action.
Yeah.
We have him going through the ship with his arrow to come a little bit closer.
Yeah.
And I think the first thing, again, we gotta say is the colors are amazing.
Oh, yeah. You just get this, like, neon streak of red going through and, like, destroying all these people. There's one scene where he actually hits all the lights out.
Yeah, I was about to say that. That's the coolest scene. He knocks all the lights so it goes dark, and you just see the red streak go through all these people.
It's really cool.
Groot gets some revenge on a guy.
Oh, yeah. Groot just throws a guy down into the bowels of the ship.
I just love, like, Rocket's walking around doing nothing. He just sees that, and he just has that look on his face like, oh, man, what did I get into?
Then they kind of get to this, like, central... Not even a control room. It's like a surveillance room where it's, like, cameras covering all over the ship. So, this is a scene I really like. Yondu just whistles and uses the cameras to see where his arrow is.
And Rocket has a gun and he's shooting through walls and stuff.
Yeah, to like shoot people right outside the room. It's such a cool scene.
We also find out he can set his arrow on fire.
Yeah, it's such a cool scene because like you get a bird's eye and you see like the room they're in and then like the arrow and the shots going out all around him. It's really cool.
Yondu uses the arrow, sets him on fire, actually misses Taserface.
Yeah.
Blows up, I guess, the fuel.
Yeah,
and the whole
starts to blow up the whole ship. Which they make it to a part of the ship that, like, detaches.
Yeah, it's like the front of the ship becomes, like... it's still a big ship, but a smaller ship.
Yeah.
Taserface, though, does get a call out to the Sovereign. And his last call, or his last request, is that... Let them know that the person who sealed their fate was Taserface.
Yeah, which even the Sovereign person starts laughing.
Who's been like super serious this whole movie, just starts cracking up.
Yeah.
And then we get the giant explosion.
Yeah, and then Rocket and Yondu set out for Ego.
Ego, and they start doing jumps.
Which we learned for a mammal, 50 jumps is like the limit of safety.
They're doing 700.
They do 700. And it's a really... This scene's kind of like...
Trippy?
I want to say probably the worst scene.
Yeah.
It's like really... It's super weird and out of nowhere. And it's like they start getting really CG and like their eyes get big and like wavy and it's like really weird.
It felt like I was on acid. Or at least what I think acid is like.
Right.
But we do get the Lee cameo here.
Yeah, which is actually really funny. It's Lee in a spacesuit talking to the Watchers, which if you don't know, they're essentially like they're neutral. They never interfere.
They're not supposed to.
They're not supposed to interfere.
They just record they watch planets and record the history.
Yeah, and they're like these super like higher beings. And so Stanley's just kind of talking to him. He's like, so anyway, there was this time I was a Federal Express carrier.
As they just jump through there. And they actually, we'll just talk about now, they tie it in at the end with a stinger where the Watchers are just running away. It's like, wait, you're my ride home.
Yeah, like, how am I going to get home? It's really funny.
It's pretty funny, especially
because... But he does.
He does.
He's in Black Panther.
Yeah, gambling. Man, what a life for that guy.
So, yeah, he's old too. Like, his heart has to be pretty good to deal with all this stuff.
Yeah, seriously. Going from space and all the shooting.
Being caught in a casino firefight.
Yeah, seriously. We come back to the planet. We have the scene with Gamora and Quill. I don't get this relationship because at the end of the first one, it seems like they're a thing, but they're not a thing.
I think it's supposed to be like they're trying to get the like romantic tension of like, are they or aren't they? It's Quill calls it.
Yeah.
Quill, and I'd like to think it's making fun of it, but Quill's just like, like we have this little unspoken thing where it's like Cheers or whatever, where it's like, will they, won't they? If they say it, then the ratings will go down, so it has to be unspoken and. It's like a whole
Which
thing.
obviously means nothing to Gamora.
Right. Which is funny because at one point Gamora like just yells out, she's like, I don't know what Cheers is.
So I guess I'm not going to go too deep into this, but when you think about I think Marvel tries a lot to get romantic interest in there, and I don't think they do a great job at it. As someone who I'm going to a comic book movie, I don't really care about that as much, but I do think it's kind of ham-fisted in at points like this.
Yeah.
Trying to make, I think the only time it's actually had any impact was in the first Avenger, Captain America.
Yeah.
That one I kind of cared about. Everyone else, I can't really think of another one I really care about.
Yeah. So, is this when Ego starts to explain his plan?
Well, no, because...
No. Gamora storms off.
Gamora storms off. And then we get Nebula has now arrived and is trying to kill her with the spaceship.
Which, this is a pretty good action scene, because you just got a spaceship gunning down on Gamora.
I don't know what the movie is, but I know there's that classic movie of like a guy running through a cornfield with like a plane firing. Right. That's exactly what this was.
Yeah.
They go into a cave, we get this fight scene. Gamora picks up one of the spaceship's guns.
Yep.
And starts shooting and walking, which there's no way.
Enhancements.
Oh, I forgot. That's the thing.
Enhancements is the excuse for this movie.
Yeah.
Our suspension of disbelief reason.
We get this fight. Eventually, Nebula does come up on top.
Yeah.
But she can't kill.
Yeah, she doesn't kill her. She's just like, I won. And Gamora, it turns into a funny argument because Gamora's like, I saved your life. Like, how did you win? And so, and they get this night. It's kind of cathartic scene for Nebula because she's like, you wanted to win, all I wanted was a sister. And it was this whole like, oh no, like there's a huge misunderstanding in their relationship.
Family is the central theme of every single plot in every single character in this movie. They all have some way of associating with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
What I do really like they have now here, so our characters are separated.
Right.
I'm going to get Rocket, Groot, and Yondu aren't included in this right now.
Okay.
I'm going to focus on the ones that are on Ego's planet. All three of them are separated, but they're all three going to come to the conclusion of Ego's plan differently, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll just say Nebula and Gamora walk through this cave and find thousands of skulls and bones.
Yeah.
Drax is woken up by Mantis, which is again another comical thing there. Because
oh my gosh, this is like one of the funniest parts I think.
It was so awkward and great. I loved it
because she's just like, Drax, wake up. He's like, oh, I tried to let you down easy by calling you hideous earlier. It's like, what? And he's like, I could not imagine being with you physically. He just starts like gagging.
Yeah. It's so funny. And
then she's like, I don't even like the type of thing you are.
He says, hey, words hurt.
And he's like, don't make it personal.
Yeah, it's like, as someone who's just called her hideous. And
it's really
It's
great.
really funny. But she tells him kind of the plan. Off screen, obviously.
Yeah.
But then we cut... we might be doing this out of order, but as that's happening, Ego is with Peter Quill.
This is... I know I've said there are a lot of good scenes in this. This is my favorite scene. Because it's Ego explaining, like, look, I put these plants on thousands of planets. And I'm going to activate them and, like, they're going to become me.
Oh, the effect they use to show when they're showing Peter this?
Oh, yeah. He, like, taps his head and then his eyes get all, like,
turn into, like, the universe. It says Eternity, which I know is a comic book character. They're probably not going to do that in the movie, but I think it's kind of cool because you just see his eyes go black with stars in it. It's a really good effect.
It is, and like,
and even before that, they're explaining Brandy, the song, which is a really good song in the soundtrack.
Yeah,
but they kind of explain how, as immortals,
they're not like they're the sailor. They're drawn out to the sea all the time.
Yeah, they always have to be on the quest as opposed to be like settling down.
Yeah, and what's really great is like this effect that Ego puts on Peter is like makes him compliant, where he's like, yeah, no, I get this plan. Like, you're right, we got to do this. And then he's like, oh, I did love your mother, but I knew if I went back a fourth time, I wouldn't leave. So it killed me to put that tumor in her head. And Peter just, like, the stars fade from his eyes, and, like, without thinking, he's like, what? And he just, like, pulls out his guns and blasts Ego.
Yeah, he just goes to town on that. Also, one more thing before he's jumped too far ahead. He explains how he's had to try and have this... He needs two Celestials to have his plan take effect. And he's tried thousands of different children, and they've all died.
Yeah.
That explains all the skulls.
Right.
But he's the one that's carried it. That's why he's the one they need.
So, that's kind of how that works out. And it starts everything because Ego just, like, stabs him with his, like, light tentacle and is like, all right, I was going to hope we could work together. But if you're going to be like that, you can just be a battery for the next 1,000 years.
Yeah, and he actually starts the plan, which then we zoom back to Missouri
with
a new Dairy Queen.
Yeah, remodeled Dairy Queen.
But the plant starts taking over and doing all that.
Yeah.
And kind of get this giant blue blob that's eating everything.
Yeah, and then Rocket and Yondu crash in with the construction ship, and that stops the blob because it kind of knocks out Ego.
Yeah, it stops Ego, which, again, this doesn't make a ton of sense to me. I understand that's his manifestation, but he's not actually been physically...
Right, but I think his consciousness is in that.
Okay, maybe that...
Like I think he projects his consciousness into that.
That makes a little more sense.
Also, I want to bring up, we skipped this. We get when Yondu and Rocket arrive to Ego, or at Ego, and
I know what you're going to talk about, but let's also talk about the fact that the planet, the effects, they actually put faces on the planet depending on the mood Ego's in, which is really cool. Go on.
Yeah. They get there, and Yondu goes through this whole thing about, like you're, like, a professional asshole because you, like, push people away when they get close, and, like, all this stuff. And he pretty much, like, pins Rocket to a T. And he's just like...
And you know how I know this?
Yeah, he's like, you don't know me. He's like, of course I know you, because I am you.
And that's when you get this real big connection.
Of, like, if Rocket keeps doing what he's doing, he's going to end up like Yondu.
Mm-hmm.
Which isn't a good thing.
Yeah, when you look at what's happened to his life and how everything
exactly.
Yeah, they crash into the thing. They knock the conscience out. The gang is now all together.
Yeah.
And Mantis tells them that the power of him, the brain...
is in the core.
So they need to go to the core and blow it up.
It's a good thing they have essentially a laser mining machine.
Yeah, and I brought this up in the movie. It's not the same, but it looks very similar to the other mining ship in the first one, which I think is cool for a continuality.
Well, they say, and this was kind of, I feel like, just slipped in, I guess, to explain why he had it. But they said, like, yeah, we're coming in on a construction ship. Yondu had to break into this bank. And it's like, I guess that explains why he has it, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's just a nice touch. It has lasers, though, so they start burrowing into the planet. While they're doing that, the Sovereign have the coordinates of Ego's planet, and their entire force is coming to blow them up.
Yep. What was his name? We literally just said that character's name and we forgot. Kraglin.
Captain.
Yeah, he's trying to get a hold of Yondu and tell him this,
but because they're so deep in the planet, they can't really hear him.
Yeah.
Did you like that they had the Sovereign come back?
I felt like it was to add more tension and create a firefight.
Yeah, I mean, I know why they did. I just don't think
So it felt like the way it happened, I guess, because of how they took care of Ego. It was like, did they need to... Like, if they didn't have that extra obstacle, it would have been easy, you know?
Yeah, I just feel like it was... Again, I felt like it was... I don't know, it just didn't feel... Again, the first movie, everything felt organic. I may have not liked Ronan, but everything felt organic, like why he's doing it. This kind of just felt like very artificial.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But yeah, we get to the final scene. They're trying to burrow in. The ships come, so they blow the generator. They can't burrow anymore. So the hope of the entire universe relies on Baby Groot knowing which button to press.
Yeah, there's a lot of funny scenes they put in, like Peter asking around if anyone has tape and stuff like that, and Rocket like getting angry at him for it, and then Baby Groot like pointing to the wrong button that if he presses will instantly blow up the bomb and kill everyone.
I'm Groot. I am Groot.
No. And then during Rocket and Quill arguing, Groot just takes the bomb and runs in.
And that's it. The whole fate of the universe is on Groot knowing this. So we get some action scenes. We get there's some fighting on the ground between. Actually, Mantis has put Ego to sleep.
Right.
Which is another funny Drax line. He's like, "I believe in you," and then she does. He's like, "I can't believe that worked."
Yeah, he's like, "I did not think that was going to work."
It was really funny. But you get fighting on the ground. You get fighting in the air. With that, they actually use Nebula as a battery to charge the lasers.
Yeah.
And it's just funny because, like, it's going to hurt. And he's like, whatever. And then it literally is one of the most painful things you can see.
And then, like, the lasers take out literally all of the Sovereign ships.
Mm-hmm.
But something happens that wakes Ego up. A boulder hits Mantis.
Yeah, so we get this really cool shot of all of them coming together.
Yeah, it's better than the shot from Avengers 2, which we haven't gotten to yet, but it's a really cool shot.
It's one of the better shots.
It's like rotating all around them, and they're all there, like an
super dramatic.
Yeah, it's super cool. And then
the
boulder
rock hits Mantis.
Yeah, it's really funny. And Drax is like, "Mantis, watch out!" after the rock hit her.
I don't. Yeah. So we do get this point now that Ego is fully powered awake and is overpowering all of them.
Yeah.
And they're all drowning in rocks and doing this. Groot's being crushed inside the core, which is sad. He starts crying.
Yeah.
Crying Groot's sad.
It is. And then Yondu says, like, "I don't fly the air with my brain, I fly it with my..." And he kind of, like, alludes to heart, but he doesn't get it out. And that's when Peter goes Super Saiyan. Yeah,
he unlocks his true Ultra Instinct, if you will.
Yeah,
and
so this is the power of Ultra Instinct.
And we get this fight scene, which... you said it's the best DBZ move we're ever going to get, so...
Yeah, I mean, they're, like, flying around and punching each other and, like, making giant rock constructs and...
Giant
Pac-Man.
Pixels.
Yeah. But, Pixels wasn't that bad. I really like Groot in it. No, Pixels is not good.
Which again, I guess if I'm trying to go critically here, it's cool, but Ego has gone off how it took him millions of years to learn how to do this, and Peter picks it up like that.
But he's half human.
Oh, I forgot. If you're a hybrid a human hybrid, you do everything.
Yeah, did you watch Dragon Ball Z?
Listen,
age 7 Super Saiyan, no problem. Only took Goku like 30 years.
Yes.
So
they eventually do put the bomb on. It's going to blow up. They all get off except Yondu stays behind.
Right.
He's talking to Rocket, and he gives him one jetpack and one spacesuit. That's all he has left.
Right.
Now, Yondu and Peter are still left behind, so he realizes one of them is not getting out.
Right.
They get to the surface. Gamora tries to go back and save Quill, and I really like this scene. Rocket shocks her and says, "I can only afford to lose one friend today."
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting because I think a lot of people think he's talking about Peter. I actually did not think that at all the first time. I was like...
You thought he was talking about Yondu?
Yeah, he's like, he knows Yondu's dying. Yeah. I think that's what that heart-to-heart was about. In fact, they even say, Groot says, "Welcome to the freaking Guardians of the Galaxy." But he didn't say freaking.
We also missed the great line of Mary Poppins, y'all.
Oh, yeah.
Because Yondu comes floating down holding his arrow.
And it looks like the umbrella from Mary Poppins.
Yeah, and Peter's like, "You look like Mary Poppins." And he's like, "Was he cool?" It's like,
yeah, he was.
He was the coolest. He's like, I'm Mary Poppins, y'all!
So, eventually the bomb goes off. Ego turns into the sand from Wakanda.
Yeah, which is really disturbing because his face like caves in.
I know it's that actually affects really well. I think for CGI most of it holds up. I think the effects they use for Ego is kind of meh.
Yeah,
but that last effect was very well done.
Yeah, and it's
you can see the power also leave Peter too.
Yeah, the like light fades from his hands, and then Yondu starts flying off with him, and he puts the spacesuit on Peter, and he says this really good line, and that's like, he might have been your father, but he sure wasn't your daddy.
And again, it's all about family in this movie and how they try and connect all these characters.
Peter figuring out in that moment that Yondu was, in the end, like his dad. Like, he was his father figure, and there were bad times, but he also kind of raised him.
Mm-hmm.
He raised him to be the guy he is now, so.
Yeah, and I think this movie works very well because of the short distance between the first one and the second one. Because if you have this 3 years later, they should have this connection already.
Yeah,
You're actually building this connection now, which is kind of cool to see. And then the final scene of this movie is amazingly well done. They have the funeral for Yondu.
Which they said earlier that, the lights of whatever would not shine on your grave.
Yeah, so like a Ravager captain, when they die, is supposed to have all the Ravengers basically have a fireworks show, essentially. Yeah. And they said, because you're an outlaw to us, that's never going to happen. And as they were having this funeral and sending Yondu's ashes into space, all the Ravengers come and do the Ravager funeral. Yeah,
which is a really nice scene. Even though you don't know these characters, they're like...
I know Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, well, even though like you know very little about the Ravagers and stuff, you kind of get like, okay, this is like a really high honor moment.
And and I actually again tie it in at the end with a stinger about how Yondu has brought them all back together,
which is a reference to another comic squad who I forget.
Yeah, Miley Cyrus is in the MCU.
Miley Cyrus is in the MCU.
She plays the robot.
Space Magic is in the MCU.
That's been in. That was Doctor Strange. The guy has Doctor Strange.
Space. Doctor Strange isn't from space.
Oh my god. He's using the same magic.
Yeah, he is using the same magic.
Which is kind of cool because this came out before Doctor Strange. So you kind of get that already hinted at. But anyway, we're kind of jumping ahead.
We are.
We get this scene there. Again, good music choice. Music plays a huge role in this movie as well.
And it's a great song. I forget what it's called, but it's a really great song on the soundtrack that's about like a father talking to his son, saying like, "You're young."
I think it's father and son is the song.
I think it is, but it's like this really like slow song. It's like, "You're young, like that's your fault, but like you still got a lot to learn." It's a lot like, I try to tell you this stuff and you don't listen, but you'll know someday. Mm-hmm. And it's a really nice song, and there's this really nice like.
Which soundtrack do you like better, 1 or 2?
I really like 2.
I think I like 2 more.
I think 2 has a better soundtrack.
And I think as well as they used the music in 1. I think they incorporate into the scenes a lot better. Yeah. Maybe not as organically. Again, I keep saying that word in these movies.
Well,
but
in the first one, it was used as like it didn't feel like they were listening to it. But in this one, there were moments like Rocket says like, "Hey, do you got any Quill's old music?" Mm-hmm. And like when Rocket's repairing the ship, he's listening to the mixtape.
Oh, maybe, yeah. I guess you are right. They do put in more.
It's like, whereas in the first one, it was like, this is just a really cool song for this awesome action scene. I mean, there's the Ooh Child moment in the first one, where they're listening to it, but it's like that's the one I can think of.
Yeah. Well, and then the beginning where he's listening while going through the temple. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. I think it is used very well here. We also get the joke. We got this new thing on Earth. It's all the rage. It's called a Zune.
Which, man. Like, they had to get sponsored, but, like, that had to be a hit against Zune, right? Like, that had to be just a little stab at them. Like, no one.
I would love someone to message us with not text us, send us a picture of you having a Zune. Yeah. I want to know someone who owns one of these things.
I remember seeing them in, like, the arcade machines where you could win prizes. Yeah. And it was like, I guess I could win a Zune.
Yeah.
Like, it was never like, oh, man, I could win an iPod Touch. It was like, there's the Zune.
Yeah, it was
it's
like
an MP3
discount
player.
Yeah. It does stuff.
Oh, man. Do you think... there are probably people who don't know what MP3 players are who are listening. Ooh.
I hope they know.
Before phones, but after CDs.
Yeah, this is an awkward time.
Yeah, when you had little USB things. Okay.
But yeah, we get to the final scene. It's a very good, touching scene. We cut to black. End credits. So we got the gang back together with that. We see Sean Gunn's character
learning
the arrow and hitting Drax in the chest.
Which is pretty good.
We get Teenage Groot.
Teenage Groot, which is funny because Quill comes in and he's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And he's like, "I am Groot." And he's like, "I'm not boring. Was boring is sitting and playing that mind-numbing game."
Am I out of touch? No, it's the children who are out of touch.
yeah. And then Quill just ends like, "Now I know how Yondu felt."
Which we're getting Teenage Groot in
Infinity War,
it is. So I guess you're getting that aspect in. And then we get the Watcher scene that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, which is cool. And then the best end credit song where it's like, I almost said Hasselhoff, Kurt Russell singing it.
Yeah. And I just love the credit scene. They do it like it's a yearbook.
Yeah,
so
where there's
like
comments
and like half the names are I am Groot and they get translated as they come off the screen.
That's pretty good.
It's a pretty good end credit. I mean, Marvel makes you sit through them. They might as well be entertaining while you're sitting through them.
Right. So,
let's do it.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Let's put this pupper to bed.
We are going to start the review section of the podcast. Following the patented shield scale, our scientists spent so many hours locked in their cages.
And we have to remote access them this week.
Yeah, it's rough.
They're not in my basement cavern laboratory.
with all your 70s style servers.
Yeah. You're gonna have to like telegraph them.
I love that we only use outdated technology. So we're using the shield scale. S is for scoundrel. How is the villain in the movie? Were they good, convincing? Did they have a good point? H for hero. How are the hero or heroes in this case?
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot in this movie. So
yeah, this is very good. It's a team up movie, definitely.
Integrity. How does the movie hold up? And if it's a more modern movie like this, how are the effects? How is the story?
Yeah, we're looking primarily at the effects and is the story still relevant?
Yeah.
Does it? Because again, we're rewatching these. We've seen all. I've seen all of them.
Well, I didn't see the Hulk before we watched it.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I have Thor Ragnarok. I just gotta watch it. All right, it's just all I gotta do.
It's gonna be the running gag now until you watch it.
E is entertainment. Was it entertaining? If you remember last week, they scored a 5. I don't know how it doesn't. Like the first one was great. I'm sure this one will follow up nice. L, the best part of the scale, the Lee cameo. Was it funny? Like,
does it tie into the story at all?
Does it tie into the story? Is it entertaining?
Just what's Stan doing in this movie?
What's Stan up to?
And then finally, D, the development of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, it's how does it affect the universe as a whole and other movies and stuff like that. So, let's get into it. Brendon, you did not like the villain in Guardians 1.
I hated Ronan.
How do you feel about Ego?
So, here's the thing about Ego.
Are we counting Sovereign?
No,
they're just kind of there.
Oh, we did miss the one. Stinger about Adam Warlock.
Adam Warlock being made.
So I will not count them because I think they're probably gonna be in Guardians 3. So okay. I think it'll be more fleshed out there.
Ego is our villain.
Yes. So there's two sides of Ego. I think. I think when you look at him as the character, I think it's a pretty well developed character.
Right.
His concept is very interesting. I mean, it's kind of cliche, but the reason behind it's really cool. However, when you actually get to the fight scene, I'm pretty underwhelmed. And I think the problem is you literally they're fighting a planet,
right? And
it's hard to like show that, I guess.
Yeah.
So like when you have the rock tentacles and all that stuff, it's kind of meh. So if I'm looking at it, I'm looking at the character development. I think the character's well done. I think, again, he's not evil.
No. He's
not a bad guy. He has a view of the universe, and it's because he's eternal. He's developed this view as opposed to the mortals there. So I think I'm going to go... I'm thinking something like a 3.5, 3.75.
Okay. 3.5, 3.7?
I'm kind of torn between like 3.5, 3.75. Like I said, I think the character is very well done. I just don't know if I really approve the action scenes. I'm leaning more actually 3.5, I think, when I think about it.
I like Ego for this kind of film. It was really nice. He did pass my litmus test of does the villain think he's right? And he does, because it's like you said, he doesn't come off as evil. Like what he's doing isn't malicious. It's not to get back at the universe or anything, or revenge on anyone, or to screw people. It's literally like, this is just what I'm kind of meant to do.
He says eternity is boring without a purpose, and this is his purpose.
Yeah, this is my purpose. So I like that a lot. I think it's interesting to have a villain who is like, he didn't want to fight, really. He was like, I just wanted to work with you.
Yeah,
but to get this done, I will just use you. Like, he really did try to, like, convince Peter before.
Yeah, he does everything to say, like, this is how it should work. Like, look at me.
This really would have been a shorter movie if he didn't say the part about the tumor. Like that.
Oh, yeah, because until that time, I think Peter was all aboard on this.
Peter was like, yeah, this is right. You're right. So,
yeah, famous mistakes.
I'm going to go 3.75.
You're a 3.75?
I like him a lot.
What did you think about the action, though? Like, so I said that's kind of a downside for me, but I think that's just the point of the character. It's hard to show that.
Yeah, I remember liking it when I saw it in theaters, but watching it now was a little like, eh. It was, if they did it better, like, I know it's ridiculous, but if they did, like, Death Star, like, literally versus a planet, I think it would have been cool. Like, they're in a ship outside, and now we got to deal with the planet. But it was entertaining at parts, but yeah.
What'd you think about the giant Pac-Man?
I
know it's not a villain.
It looked claymation, didn't it?
It did.
It looked really claymation. Okay, our heroes, the Guardians of the Galaxy. I think I lean to like this movie better with them. I think having them, because in the first one, they didn't have that central theme that they all followed. At least not that I could find. In this one, you were right. They when you said it, they're all at some point focused on family. Like, Rocket's trying to figure out, how do I work with a family without pushing them away. You get Peter figuring out, like, who is my family.
Gamora, Nebula,
yeah,
Drax and his family, and Mantis to a degree. Like, Yondu.
Yeah, Yondu.
It's all tied into family, which is
so
cool.
I really like that central thread that they all shared. They're all entertaining. I think they all had really good synergy as characters. Like, I know you said some of the humor wasn't organic, but all their interactions.
Well, that won't
organic.
be in the heroes. That's gonna be more in the
right. But I mean, like, what was organic was their interaction. Like, it felt like, yeah, that makes sense for that character to ask or say or do. I'm gonna give them a 4.5.
So I agree with a lot of the points you said. I honestly, for the most part, I would think of giving this a 5. I'm not going to.
Okay.
But I think it has the case there. My one problem, I mentioned this during the movie, kind of like between Iron Man and Iron Man 2, we see this development of Tony Stark, and then it feels like he reverts in Iron Man 2. I feel like that same thing happened with Peter Quill here, where he gets his development, but then it kind of reverts back to a lot of selfishness, and he's kind of rediscover that.
Okay.
Which, again, I don't want you to go backwards with the character. I want you to continue developing.
Right.
I think every other character got really well developed in this movie, especially Yondu, who unfortunately we won't see anymore in the movies, which sucks.
Yeah.
But, so I think I'm going to go 4.5 as well. I think the characters are really well developed. I think it has a 5, but I think there's too much reversion back from Star-Lord.
So this is an interesting point. I stayed on track with Guardians 1. I gave it a 4.5 for Heroes. I stayed there. You went up a little.
Yeah, like I said, I think
you like. Yeah, I know you said you like Yondu and everything.
I think honestly, every character is, well, minus Groot, obviously, because Groot's just there. I think every character gets developed very well, except for Peter Quill, and I think he does get developed. But I feel like I took 2 steps forward to take
one step forward, 2 steps back.
I did take 3 steps forward because I took 2 steps backwards. Yeah. So I just got a little bit of development where I shouldn't have. So
okay, that's fair. Integrity. How did the movie hold up? What do you think?
I think effect-wise, a lot of the effects are well done. I do have some gripes with it. I think like I said, the fight scene at the end I was just kind of meh about. I don't know if it. Again, I think it's very ambitious to try and fight a planet. The story, I mean, Central Concept's family, that's a universal story. So anyone can really connect to that, and they connect it multiple ways. So I think that's kind of a good point with integrity. I'm thinking maybe a 4.
Okay. I think that's fair. Yeah, I mean, I still like this movie a lot. It does edge out just a little above the first one for me. I think, the soundtrack's awesome. They use it great. The effects, for the most part, are pretty good. The colors, like we always talk about in these movies, are beautiful. And it's a nice kind of sci-fi, like it feels sci-fi, like everything.
Are you going to take points off because it's not the original Groot?
I mean, I don't know how I feel about that theory.
It's not a theory; it's confirmed.
I don't like that. I think we talked about it last time that
we did. I just like pointing it out.
This baby Groot is not the original Groot growing up again. It is a new Groot. Not a huge fan of that. I think I'm going to, for integrity, say 4.2. We gave it
4.25.
No, 4 as well. Because we both gave it 3.75 last time, and I think just the year or two in between these movies.
It's less than a year between 1 and 2.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean in actual release.
Oh, it's like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, it's like 2 or 3 years. I think that did well because the effects got better and like they did an amazing job with it. Entertainment. Is this another unanimous?
No, it's not going to be.
Okay.
I'll let you go first.
I want to give it a 5. I like this movie a lot.
Give it a 5.
I think it's fun.
I think it is one of the better. I think it's also very rewatchable. Mm-hmm. However, I'm gonna dock it. I'm gonna go 4.5.
Okay.
And the reason for that is, like I said, the humor is not as. I think it's 4 standard points, and even if the line's funny, I don't like when you have to force in a line like that. Okay. So I think there's a couple instances of that happening in the movie, which does not give me the 5. But I will say it's a very enjoyable movie. If it was on tomorrow, I would probably watch it.
Yeah, I share it with you there, but gotta say, man, between Drax and like just Drax steals it. I think Drax's interactions alone kind of win that over for me on the Force comedy. He does Dave Bautista. I think if you talked to him in the height of his wrestling career and said you were going to be like one of the funniest actors in a Marvel movie, I think he would have laughed at you. But man, he pulls it out.
He does. It's very well done. And like I said, it is funny. It's just I can't give it a perfect 5 because I think there are flaws.
Right. Absolutely.
All right, Lee.
The Lee cameo. Man, this was one that's like it develops the universe.
It confirms a fan theory that's been around for a while that he's like part of the Watchers.
Well, it confirms that the Watchers are there. Which, some people would say, well, it's Marvel. Of course the Watchers are there, but we didn't see them in the movies yet.
Yeah, and I like that he references his previous jobs.
Yeah, so that means that literally everything in the MCU he's done, he has done.
It has to be a 5, right? Is this a 5?
Is this the first ever 5?
This might be the only 5 for Lee for me.
Oh, man. I'll give you that 5.
I think it has to be, because you're developing a universe, you're confirming a theory.
And it's funny.
It is pretty funny.
Like, when he's like, before I was rudely interrupted. Like, yeah, man, I'm giving that a 5. Hey, first ever Lee cameo 5.
I'll be around the front. I think that's going to be the only one for me.
Hey, we'll see about Infinity War.
Oh, that's true. It could be. What if he's, like, stops Thanos by himself?
He's the Squirrel Girl.
He's Squirrel Girl. He dresses as Squirrel Girl, too.
He throws a rock, Thanos chokes on it and dies, and Stan Lee saves the day.
And everyone's, like, half dead looking at him. He's like...
Excelsior!
Yeah, there we go.
Development. How did this develop the MCU?
So, I think one thing that I didn't think about before watching this movie, space is now officially part of the Earth because of what happened with Ego and the planet. If you think about it, because we're now officially tied in.
Right.
An event on Earth is caused from the Guardians.
Right.
Which is kind of an interesting way to think about it. You get Peter's lineage, which is kind of interesting. We have no Infinity Stones in this movie. No Infinity Stones. We get Celestials. Celestials are things now. They're mentioned.
The Celestials still exist.
Yeah.
And I believe it was pretty much assumed, it wasn't said, but I think you can kind of assume that after the Infinity Stones were made, they kind of disappeared. Mm-hmm. But one was around. So
which means there could be more.
Could be more.
Like I said, you get good development of the Guardians. Mantis isn't introduced.
Yondu dies.
You got the Ravagers a little bit. Nebula is kind of more in the picture.
Yeah.
So I think it does. It develops it a little bit. I don't think it develops it. It's not a key movie, if that makes sense. It's not like...
No, it's one that doesn't add to the story of the universe
as a whole. It's not like the Avengers, or it's not like...
It doesn't set off any
the
ripples,
Winter Soldier.
Really.
So, 3... just a 3? I think it's
3.
above average. You get some new characters. You get some lineage. You connect... 3.25.
Okay.
Because they do connect... You're actually connecting space into... Earth, which is neat. So yeah, I think I'll go 3.25.
I'm gonna share with you there. We agreed a lot on this movie. Yeah, you get some characters. You get a character death. A new leader to the Ravager faction that we know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think 3.25 is pretty good. It's no like Avengers or anything like that, but
it's not ground shattering, but it does the job.
Yeah, it fleshes some more out about the world. We're back.
All right, just got the telegraph
Via pigeon.
It took a while. I heard there was some
air traffic.
Some air traffic. There might have been some injuries in our expedition. Some scientists might be suing us. We don't know yet.
Brendon, I think we're both surprised by this.
I think we're both shocked by this. Because let me just say before we reveal the score.
Okay.
I thought I liked Guardians of the Galaxy 1 more, and
right.
My score is actually no, that does not true. I actually, according to the math, I enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy 2 more. Right. I also didn't think I enjoyed it this much because right now, where's it on our list?
Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is our number 3 movie in the MCU right now.
Yes, it is right below Avengers, and I gotta say, this was by a hair.
Right above
perhaps
Black Panther.
A cat hair.
Ooh.
It beats Black Panther.
Right above. Yeah, it's interesting. I think what did it is the reason Guardians 1 scored lower, we poorly rated the Lee cameo because it was bad. And we gave it a 5?
I think the Lee cameo and also the villain, I bombed the villain in the last one.
You did.
But yeah, this is our 3rd rated movie. I'm gonna say I'm surprised, but you know, math.
I'm not disappointed though.
I mean, I'm just like I said, I'm just surprised.
It's not like Thor 2 got number 3 and we're both scratching our heads like this math doesn't make sense.
How do we alter that grade?
Yeah.
No, I mean it earned it. It does a lot of things very well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's number 3 on our list.
So, Brendon, what is next week on Super Marvel Brothers?
Well, we got 2 things we gotta do. First off, we gotta go back to Earth. We're done with space now.
Yeah, which I'm a little sad to go.
We'll be back in space.
All right.
Maybe if you ever watched Thor Ragnarok.
We'll get there.
We gotta go back to Earth, and we gotta get the band back together.
Are we getting the band back together?
We're getting the band back together.
Oh man, what are we getting the band back together for?
There's some robot that Tony Stark made because he's a pompous.
Megatron, right?
Yeah. No, Voltron.
Oh, Voltron.
Evil Voltron.
Evil Voltron.
No, Ultron.
Oh. There's a check mark next to Ultron. It looked like V on the list. So we can't check them off before that happens.
Yeah, but it's actually interesting because if you go with the order of movies released, right after the Winter Soldier is Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Right.
We've kind of taken this side quest into space.
I like that though.
No, it was nice, but now we got to get back to what's happened in Earth with Hydra and all that, and now we got Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Like I kind of like that we did take, like, it felt organic like a show would to take that little break and like, all right, here's this side story.
It was filler arc.
Guardians, oh my gosh, Guardians is the filler arc.
The best filler arc
I'm gonna say, if it's a filler arc, at least it's a good filler arc of Marvel. But hey, it's not a filler arc because they're gonna come into the main story and you're gonna be like, that filler was canon? What?
That's crazy. But yeah, next week we're gonna do Avengers: Age of Ultron, the last Avengers movie in the rewatch because there's only 2.
Yeah, that's true. Well, sort of. There's one that's totally should have been an Avengers movie.
You mean Avengers: Civil War?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is also, but technically it's not.
It's like 0.5.
Yeah, we're gonna watch the movie that almost killed Josh Whedon.
All right, guys. See you next week for Avengers.
Oh, we're not gonna do our. We gotta think that I gotta beg the couch gnomes.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah, that thing I have to do every week.
That's in your contract.
I signed a contract?
No, of course you did.
Thank you to the Couch Gnomes for giving us this hour and what are we at? Hour 15.
It's probably gonna end up near an hour and 20.
Yeah, of things they've given us on their YouTube data with space things.
Yeah. No problem. I personally love to do a podcast on the channel, and the guys like it too. And it's great to do something different. We do a lot of video game stuff. I'm glad to break out into movies. We have a Facebook, a YouTube, an Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, all that stuff. You can go follow it.
Do you have Kanai's recording of this yet?
No. I'm going to get it. You got to text me this week and say, hey, get that. And I will do it Friday. So follow us there. Keep an eye on the YouTube channel because we're always trying to do cool new stuff. We're working on a big project right now. I can't wait for it to get
Is
announced.
it top secret?
It's top secret.
Ooh.
We are putting a lot of effort. I'm not kidding. We are paying artists to get art for it. We're going to have music for it, made by my good friend Nunks, who did the original...
Is that a real name?
That's what he wants to be called.
Okay.
Who did the original, or who did our Caption song in the intro. Yeah, I'm really excited for all this. So keep your eyes. That's going to come out relatively soon. Also, check out Twitch. We stream every Friday from like 6 or 6:30 to like 8:30, sometimes 9 if we get carried away. And Danny is streaming during the week. Kanai's going to be streaming soon. He's going to be streaming something fun. I don't want to spoil it. I don't know if I'm allowed to.
You really aren't allowed to say a lot, are you?
I don't know.
You can just hype things.
Yeah, we don't communicate a lot. Check out our Spreadshirt. Spreadshirt.com/.
It'll be in the description. As well as that picture of the Power Rangers villain.
yeah. I'm going to link that. Really great. There's some cool designs on there. Like, we just got a Japanese design. We have finally, if you've been watching the channel for a long time, we have a That's a shirt, which I don't know if you know was a joke when we started doing stuff. Was we would say something funny, be like, "That's a shirt."
Oh.
And they never got turned into shirts, but I've been petitioning since the beginning to make. I wanted our first shirt to be a That's a shirt.
Nice.
Because I think that would have been hilarious. But we have it. All right. Tune in next week for Age of Ultron. We'll see you guys
We're getting
later.
close, guys. See you later.